bros and broettes, what is going on? I'm a mess, dude. I got rods everywhere. I got bags of baits everywhere, dude. Trying to get organized, trying to go catch some fish. I got my boy Bog hanging out with me, but welcome to the Monster Bass Fishing Channel. So today I'm going to show you one of the techniques I absolutely love. The guys at Monster Bass are like, hey Mikey, what do you like doing this time of year? And I'm like, oh, there happens to be a thing, dude. And it's a thing that catches a bunch of fish, maybe not always the biggest fish, but I can get a ton of bites, and it's super versatile. I can do it in a bunch of different places, and one of the most fun parts is it's not always about catching bigs, but it is about having a good time. And I do it on a spinning rod for the most part. This is a Lunker Sticks. It's a 7-foot medium light, little lighter kind of rod, which is perfect for this setup. And what we're going to talk about is small swim baits. I love throwing a small swim bait. Late summer through fall and into winter. I don't care if you have smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass, they all eat it. And it's because the bait gets a little bit smaller, and it's because the fish get a little more high in the water column. They get suspended, they chase bait, it slows down as that water temp goes down, but it's just a viable technique basically all the way through like early spring of the next year. So I'm gonna show you my favorite way to rig up a small swim bait, and what it involves. You can even see Finesse swim bait heads right in my Monster Bass. So it's a finesse style technique. You're using kind of lighter weights, anywhere from like 1/8 to 1/4. If you want to go deep, it's going to be like a 3/8, but that's my mainstay. It's those three sizes. You kind of got to pick based upon the water you're fishing, like any other fishing technique. But what I'm actually using is a very finesse style head, and that's this guy right here. This is actually a Scottsboro Hellfire head. You'll notice immediately that this is a ball head. It's integral that you do this using a ball head style jig. It adds to the finesse thing. It's also really good around rock, and for some reason, don't ask me why, I'm not a hydrologist or a physicologist or whatever they're called, it falls right. It makes the bait fall perfectly. One of the keys though is you can't just pick any kind of ball head. It must have what is called a 90-degree line tie. So you see how that line tie points directly up? Have to have a 90-degree line tie. So the most well-known bait to do this with is what everybody refers to as just a Kitech. And specifically, I got a bunch in my Bass Mafia bag, dude. You can see, look, it's a little wide. All of these are sort of like finesse style swim baits, and most of them are in fact Kitech. So what I'm gonna get out, let's pick a color here. What am I feeling? Oh, gizzard shad. So I already used a few too. So this is a 3.3 inch Kitech. I'll do this with a 2.8 or a 3.3. Sometimes I'll go up to the 3.9, but for the most part, it's gonna be that 3.3 or that 2.8. Those are my money makers, dude. It's basically a ribbed swim bait, and I'm gonna tell you this. So you can see how it has all those beautiful ridges on it, all that vibration that it creates. There's a lot of different brands out there. I love the Kitech. Yeah, Strike King makes one. They all have a little slightly different action. As the water gets colder though, it's really tough to beat that Kitech style. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna take that ball head, and what's cool with these ball heads that I have is they have a small sort of screw lock on them right there. You're just gonna take that ball head and basically thread it into the swim bait right there. Just like that, and then thread it through. Oop, make sure she's centered, boy, come on now. And thread it through, and then just kind of bring it out. There's a little channel on these swim baits so you can see where actually to bring it out, and then you're gonna pop it onto the hook. Yeah, that looks wonky, right? That's not right. And this is where that screw lock comes in. So all you're gonna do is twist the bait, and then you need to wrap the tail around the hook as you're doing it, and it will become situated on there. Man, I did that one really good. I couldn't have done that better if I was actually trying. So you get a swim bait, you gotta adjust a little bit, but basically it's threaded on, it's straight, it's on that 90-degree ball head. So let's talk about how to fish it. So here's the big question: can I tie a knot while I talk? Probably not, but probably not. That wasn't even a joke, that was just me being stupid. I'm gonna tie this thing up. I have this on, I don't know if you can see the line, but it's 8-pound fluorocarbon to 12-pound braid. It's on a spinning rod on a 7-foot medium light. I like that because a lot of times you don't feel a bite on this. Basically, you'll be reeling and your rod just bends over. So you want a rod that has a pretty soft tip on it, because your hook set is almost like a crankbait where you just keep on reeling. And then that lower diameter hook, this is kind of it's between a fine wire and a medium wire hook. That hook just it penetrates, dude. It goes right into them, and it's just the pressure of the rod as well as that braid backing kind of setting up on them. But what you're gonna do with this is I throw it everywhere. I will bounce bottom with this thing using that ball head just like that. So I'll reel it around like a gravel bar, something along those lines. I will also throw it if I see a fish pop up like 30 yards out, especially with this 1/4 ounce, I can bomb this thing on that lighter rod. So they'll pop up, I will bomb it out there, and I'll put my rod at a 45 and I'll give it a pretty quick reel and have it kind of, I don't know, skittering through the surface. When you see this thing in the water, it has a lot of nice little kind of roll, but a tight wobble to it. It looks just like minnows or shads kind of scooting away from whatever's chasing them down. The nicest part too, as we talked about in the beginning part of the video, there's a lot of suspended fish this time of year. It might still be halfway warm out, but these fish are in kind of a weird mood. The bait starts to know that it's getting late in the season. It starts rising up, and they do so more and more as we get into winter and late fall, because water temps start to drop, and those fish, that bait fish and forage will start to actually raise towards the top when it gets warm out. So what I'll do with this is I'll throw this thing out, let it sink all the way to the bottom, and then I'll just start kind of slow reeling it. And what's interesting, especially if you're fishing say 10, 12, 20, 25 foot, even though you start off on the bottom, the bait sort of creeps up and you end up in sort of the middle of the water column. And one of the most deadly aspects of this technique is you're reeling, keep on going, and then you just dead stop. You do not feed slack to the line. It's actually called tight lining. You just dead stop your reel, and the bait pendulums ever so slowly to the bottom in sort of a, I don't know, like a U fashion. And dude, they smoke it. There's something about that sort of pause, slow fall back to the bottom, especially with spotted bass and smallmouth. They absolutely cannot handle it. Couple more tips. When you're fighting these fish, the reason I like to do it on a spinning rod just like this is because of the drag. This is not like something where you're just gonna drag them and just reel down and crank them on in like when we're fishing big old 6-inch swim baits on 1/2 ounce heads out on ledges and over grass flats. This is a subtle technique. You get a lot of bites, but when you get that big bite, because it will come, you'll catch a lot of rats, but you catch some good ones. You really need to play that fish, because one of two things is going to happen. You're going to pull on them too hard, you're going to break your 8-pound fluorocarbon, or two, you're going to pull on them too hard, and that light jig head that actually got you the hookup with the fish, you're going to bend that hook. So you kind of need to be very easy with these fish, use the pressure of the spinning rod, but also use that drag. That drag was put there for a reason. Let it go zzz.
That's her. Don't do it.
Because it's a great sound to hear, and it's a great way to work these fish without bending that hook or breaking that line. I got a few, right? Oh God, I'm mixing them all. I love doing this technique. I catch a ton of fish on it, and I love getting bites, and I love fishing for spotted bass and smallmouth, and this is a killer technique. As we get into winter and fall, like, those guys bite. The water starts cooling down and they start getting excited, and I can do a million different things with it. I can fish it on the top, I can fish it deep, because a lot of times, especially those types of fish, they'll be on the bottom in 30, 35, 40 foot of water, and then all of a sudden they're on a point in like 3 foot. They're very mobile, especially that time of year, because they're chasing bait, and this bait gives me a lot of versatility, the small swim bait on that ball head, to fish hard bottom, around grass, to fish deep, to fish shallow, and it gets me a lot of bites. So it tells me a lot about what's going on the fishery that I'm on. So hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see some more small swim bait techniques, jump onto my channel on Mikey Balzz Fishing and hit that subscribe button. But I want to go fish it. So I will see you guys around. Tight lines till later, boys.